everyone. I am Nancy Naji. I am Nancy Naji. I am Nancy Naji. Welcome to our segment, Hello Money. Today we'll be talking about the payday. You have to be street smart. We all know this year. No grief for anybody is our 2024 tagline. Hello everyone and welcome to Moneyline with Nancy. I am Nancy Naji. So good to have you here again with us. Thank you for your company always and thank you for staying tuned. Today we will be looking at Tinubunomics. So much to talk about. Of course, just a few days ago, the president inaugurated a 31-member presidential economic coordinating Council. Also yesterday, we saw that the federal government has suspended food imports for about 5 months to enable food supply, perhaps in the thinking of the government to bring down inflation. The federal government also says that it is partnering with states as well as the military to cultivate arable land in the country, of course, to boost food production. On the other hand, the Poultry Association of Nigeria is struggling, is groaning under soaring prices. Of course, you know that the price of a crate of egg now is over 4,500 naira. The last time I bought 4,500 naira, but it depends on the part of the country where you are, as the cost of feed is also soaring. How can poultry farmers keep up? Bearing in mind that the Food and Agriculture Organization has said that Nigeria has the second largest bird population in Africa with about 180 million birds. How will this threaten the supply of poultry in the country and poultry products like eggs, chicken? You don't even want to touch chicken now. Nigerians cannot afford chicken, they can't afford beef, even egg they can't afford. Crayfish, fargon self, we cannot afford. So where do we go? I've always said it on the show that it's just that I don't know if we take a look at some of those things, because if we begin to measure now, malnutrition definitely will increase. We've seen authorities say that many millions of Nigerians are facing a food crisis. There's a hunger crisis in town, whether we like it or not. A lot of people are not eating well-balanced meals now. You don't even see Gary chop before you even talk of well-balanced meal, as it were. Food prices are now off the roof. So if we're taking a look at perhaps what will be happening between now and next year, if the situation is not checked, many Nigerians will be malnourished. We can't get adequate food into our bellies. Then the cost of medicine is also high, and that will affect life expectancy as well as longevity. So Nigerians may not even be living as long as we want to live, bearing in mind that our life expectancy is just a little over 50 years of age. Women live longer in Nigeria than men. And if we're seeing crisis like this, inflation off the roof, the Central Bank of Nigeria is trying to get it under control by increasing interest rates. There will be another MPC this month. So it's so much to talk about. So we'll be looking at Tinubunomics in just a few minutes from now. My guest will be joining me, and I'll also be looking at the situation that is, in front of the Poultry Association or even poultry farmers in Nigeria. But let's get started with this story. The International Financial Analytics Corporation, S&P Global, has praised Dangote Oil Refinery and Petrochemicals Company for its potential to address Nigeria's foreign exchange challenges and alleviate pressure on the local currency. During S&P's on-site assessment at the refinery in Lagos as part of Nigeria's sovereign credit ratings evaluation, S&P Global highlighted the significant impact of this world's largest single-train refinery complex on Nigeria's oil sector and its growing economy. The International Ratings Agency delegation, accompanied by officials from the Ministry of Finance, underscored the refinery's pivotal role in enhancing Nigeria's economic outlook. Despite inclusive policies, Nigeria has a long road to gender equity with records of poverty and political deprivation prevalent for women and other vulnerable persons, the Policy Innovation Center announced the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2024 with the theme Reimagining Gender-Inclusive Pathways and Partnerships for Poverty Reduction, which will be held on September 4 and 5 in Abuja. The event aims to accelerate positive change by unifying voices, inspiring pledges, and engaging stakeholders to promote gender equity. Speaking about the upcoming event, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Dr. Tayo Adeloju, expressed the hope for new policy proposals and new inclusion social design frameworks at the end of the summit.
We hope that at the end of this summit, we will at least have new policy proposals, new inclusion social design frameworks, more reimagined ideas that challenge our nation, our policymakers, our business leaders to deliver a new type of model, one in which the pathways out of poverty are not uni but multidimensional, and not generic but specific.
Time has come for Africa to engage in serious conversation aimed at finding answers for its problems.
My brothers and sisters, I firmly believe this mutually beneficial friendship will benefit from opportunities created by the African Economic Congress platform. And this is the reason we need to deepen democracy in Africa and empower citizens and civil society organizations.
Dr. Sasui Dirisu, the Executive Director at the Policy Innovation Center, revealed that despite economic growth in some regions, poverty remains pervasive, with a large segment of the population living below the poverty line.
Despite the fact that we see some signs of economic growth happening in different parts of Africa, poverty still remains pervasive, and a large proportion of our population are still living below the poverty line. The slow progress in achieving full social and economic potential has been linked to our failure to embrace gender equity. The intersection of poverty and gender inequity underscores profound challenges that are evident in our country. And some of these challenges have left many families still experiencing severe poverty, aggravated by disparities in access to resources and income.
For the summit, the local organizing committee chairperson, Gender Inclusion Summit 2024, Afiz Olajire, stated that Nigerian women own 41% of micro businesses, with 23 million female entrepreneurs, placing Nigeria among the highest entrepreneurship rates globally, surpassing the 21% global average.
It's not a secret that Nigerian women own over 40% of the micro business that we have, with 23 million female entrepreneurs, placing Nigeria among the highest entrepreneur rates globally. And that's already surpassed the 21% global average. However, despite these amazing numbers, societal and cultural barriers won't stop preventing them from achieving the optimal results. Some of these barriers include gender violence, limited education, as well as the prevalent slavery that's hindered women's progress in achieving the optimal result we should get from all of these amazing numbers.
All right, so let's quickly take a break where we take you through the markets round for today. And when we return, it will be time for us to get into the topic Tinubunomics from the different sides, at least what has been happening in the last few days. We will give you a clear understanding and what all that means for you. And most importantly, how can we get out of this quagmire? We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. My guest is Dr. Paul Alaje, who is the Chief Economist at SPM Professionals. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, let's get started. Tinubu's policies, like 13 months now more of his administration. Do you think that you're seeing deliberate thinking, deliberate strategy behind his economic policies?
Well, I would say that President Tinubu was very deliberate when he removed subsidy. He was also very deliberate when he floated the Naira through the central bank. But the aftermath effect did not show any act of deliberacy as to what will come. One, I also thought that some of the policy were not properly thought through, even though the decision were deliberate. But thinking them through would be, what could be the possible fallouts? Before economics policies are made, economists consider, one, the policy environment before taking policy decisions. And we also try to consider what is the policy time, the lag that may be between policy and implementation. All of these must be towards one thing, policy outcome. So when we make a policy, there must be certain outcome and fallout from those possible outcomes that must be taken care of. So being deliberate is not just making proclamation, it's just policy decision. There are other things that we need to look at within the policy cycle before we say that the certain policy has achieved the aim with which it was set out to do.
Would we say that those announcements, would we say that the policy behind the removal of fuel subsidy, May 2023, I'll come back to the fuel queues we're having now. that were those policies or policy announced? Are they policies or they are even announcements?
Anything the president says is a policy.
Anything the president says is a
It's
policy.
a policy. Policy statement. Once the president says it, it becomes a policy.
I think that policies should be well thought of and well, thought of in terms of, okay, we are saying this, what are the expected objectives and what are the expected outcomes? So if they don't have those, will you still say they are policies?
The fact that they said it, did pump prices change immediately? They're policies.
It's a policy.
That
so
they don't think about it is not the fault of policy analysts that they did not think about it. It will say that, well, this is a policy of government. That is why leaders are very careful. Even when they joke, it becomes policy. So leaders don't joke. You can't say, I was just joking that time. The market will react to it. The moment subsidy is removed, market will react. Exchange rate is floated, market will react. That is why before we say something, we need to go to what economists call econometric lab. Send in the data. When you send in the data, you now see what the output will be. First of all, how strong is the true test or test of good fit? That is, my independent variable, are they representing my endogenous variable? I don't want to be too technical. That is the factor I'm looking at. I want this economy to grow. What are the parameters I need to change? So I will look at those parameters. Are they really having so much influence on this particular variable I want to achieve? My outcome, will this variable influence them? So we don't just wake up one morning and say, the next thing I want Nigeria to do now is to start importing. Have we had a proper thought on it? Have we looked at the effect on FX, which is a factor, instrument for change? Have we looked at the effect on trade balance? And we see that one variable will not influence the other, so that when you have outcomes, you will not be shocked at the outcome that you have. The argument when subsidy was removed, and it was as though I was a lonely voice at that time when subsidy, and I remember I had an interview with you on subsidy, I have another one with you on exchange rate, I have another one with you, and everybody was, no, let's give it time. I've given it a year. It's more. I had maintained that removing subsidy in itself is not wrong. But when you don't have alternative, there was even one myself and my friend had with you. I can't remember, Ijogi. I remember the two of us had with you that the key parameter here, the big elephant in the room, is exchange rate. You have not pegged your exchange rate. We are still importing and we floated. If you look at the line, it does not balance. It does not. And from what we are hearing from Dangote Refinery and the concerns that Dangote Group is sharing with the public, or at least what you have seen on pages of newspaper, it shows that we have that interest in producing, in becoming so. But there are a lot of sabotage here and there.
Were you surprised about what Dangote said? Because for a Dangote refinery, that the NNPC, that is the Nigerian people, has a 20% stake in Dangote Refinery, I was actually shocked. If Dangote can actually come out and say, we are not getting this product too, we have to import, that means it's a serious issue.
Extremely serious. Why do you think our 4 refineries have not worked? Government owns crude, government owns refinery, yet they've not worked. But we are spending billions of naira to turn around what's back. You know, there is a particular crayfish in local parlance that is bent, is stiff. If you want to turn it, it will break. So we have turned the refinery out. And I remember again that I've had 5 different interviews with you on those refineries. And I've told you, I doubt if they will work. And there was a time somebody from government, not even this administration, said, no, don't worry, they're going to work by March. I think it will work. It never worked.
I remember I had
2018,
Ibe Kachukutu on the show sometime
2020, ago. And there were promises and promises. In fact, there was a minister that left office. He promised us that it will work. He left us, he went to contest in his state. He came from South, although he did not win. But he couldn't come back. We had another person that said it will work. Now we are hearing it will work. The reason is because you cannot look, it only takes God to help us bend a dried crayfish without breaking it. The situation of the refinery, why are we still running it? We should even look at how much we spend on personnel alone, on zero output. Or we look at what we are spending on those refineries on zero output. So we don't want to attain See, as a nation, my concern as an economist in our nation is that, do we truly want to achieve sufficiency in some things? We cannot achieve sufficiency in everything. But in some things, one, crude, which is one of the major concerns we have in our economy. Two, food. Do we want to achieve sufficiency? Again, you are one of the poster persons when it comes to business conversation in our country. You're one of the reputable persons there. But look at it. We said we're ready for rice sufficiency. It's obvious that we now need life support. We're now taking the economy for grain into emergency room. And you can only
What
go
happened to the rice pyramids of 2022?
Again,
You're also a farmer, or you're a miller.
No, but we
producer.
had that conversation in the studio immediately after that program. And I said, I doubt, because the price of paddies at that time was going up. If we had that sufficiency and supply was sufficient, we will not have prices going up. Where is the rice? 2 days after that, 2 or 3 days after that show on Airport Road in Abuja, we saw that the price of rice increased. Because not too long from that time, we just had a flood in Nigeria that added 7,000 naira to the price of rice.
Okay.
So we are battled on different areas. My argument is, before you make any policy, as an economist, you need to check this policy on 5 indicators. If you make any policy, what will be the effect on GDP? What will be the effect on inflation? What will be the effect on employment and unemployment? What will be the effect on distribution of income? What will be the effect on exchange rate? And what will be the effect on trade? So it is not enough to say you make policy. Bring any policy we have made in recent time, throw them into the basket, and check the impact on all these variables.
But you cannot achieve balance on all these variables. You've listed 6: GDP, inflation, unemployment, income distribution, FX, as well as trade. The little economics also that I know tells me that you cannot achieve balance across all sectors, because
India is achieving it.
Across all sectors, because if you do, for example, if you have high inflation like we have here, to a certain extent, growth will also suffer. You know what I'm talking about. So how can, okay, let me now ask you this. Among the 6 variables, which is most important? Which is most important that we should achieve stability now? Because all what you're saying is about macroeconomy.
I'm a
yes.
macroeconomist.
Yeah, so which one should we try to achieve balance or try to get back?
Okay, so I've been privileged to study economics beyond the elementary level. I've read it at an advanced level. And I stopped wondering why some countries are getting it and some other countries are not. What separated US from Mexico is a fence, is a gully, or is a wall. Why? They eat the same food. They dance to the same music. If they had local language, it could possibly be the same. But why is the US better and the other side is not better? There were things. So if you say that we cannot, that's what elementary economics taught. But advanced economics says you can in fact achieve it. And we have example. Singapore, low inflation, low unemployment.
Across the 6?
Across the 6. You can look at the parameter. United Arab Emirates achieved across the 6. China, across the 6. So it's not whether you are an advanced country, you are not an advanced country.
The external factors count
you can,
to achieving
so
all the 6. Can you achieve all the 6 at the same time?
No, there are momentary shocks.
That's what I'm asking.
So momentary shocks is not permanent. But when we live in an economy that should grow with double digits permanently, less than 3 digits, less than 3%, then we have an issue. When we live in inflation that should be between 6 to 9%, which is not even global practice. The global best practice is between 3 to 5%. But now we are on 33.4%. And you know that it has been upward tick. Why? Policy. We decided to shut border. What was the reason? We just closed that. We just closed the border around 2019.
2019.
We did not know that COVID will come. COVID came 2020. We did not know that Russia will fry Ukraine 2021. And it's still going on. So because we did not know the policies, so we now say, oh, let's remove subsidy. We didn't run it. We didn't do the econometrics to check when you remove subsidy, what will be the impact on inflation? Up. What will be the impact on unemployment? Up. When you have if unemployment and inflation can go together at the same time, what says that unemployment and inflation cannot come down together? That is pure economic theory. That is why I advise those who are economists to read beyond elementary economics, because we'll be speaking about, people will be wondering that, are you saying I should be out of job for me to have low prices, which is inflation? Or are you saying that I should get jobs, then pay more? It doesn't add up. That is not quality economics. And that is why materials are available. People should go into research and see that we can liberate our economy.
No.
We can come out of the woods. Why? India did it. 67, 68, 69 to 1970. India was shipping to it. Right now, India came out of it. In the 60s, 70s, and 80s, what we knew India for were mystical and magical. In fact, there was a redo everywhere that India played Nigeria, 99-1. Because everybody believed that when you are looking for the mystical power, you go to India. Today, India is the hub of ICT. Leave India, go to the entire Europe after 1945. To be a woman in Europe, you must have multiple partners. Because it was afterward, the law and order has been broken down until Marshall Plan came. Here is the question. Where is our Marshall Plan? President Buhari came up with 2 plans, maybe 3. Economic recovery and growth plan. Came another plan. Came national development plan. Where are they today? President Jonathan, 7-point agenda. Where is it today? Shagari Green Revolution. Where is it today? So we are practicing economy of stop and break. So another person come. He wants to be the poster boy. This is the policy. My recommendation have been, we must have a national economic plan that all states must have. President Buhari did a fantastic, economic recovery and growth plan. Only 6 states trusted president by applying in their state. The remaining went the other way.
Okay. Now, let me take you to the question around what's happening now. President Tinubu just a few days ago constituted and inaugurated the Presidential Economic Coordinating Council, 31 members. He's chairing it. What do you think about that? Is it little too late? Because I think he put that committee together in March of this year. Is it March of this year, if I'm not mistaken? Yes, March of this year, actually. Is that decision a little too late? Then he's chairing it. That's number one question. Number 2 is that there's a National Economic Council, which the vice president is the chair, constitutionally provided for. When I looked at the constitution, the essence of that NEC is economic affairs of the country and to advise the president. So when I saw this PECC, the vice president is the vice chair of this one. You have a few ministers, you have organized private sector players, the Dangotes, the Lumelus, the Abdul Samad, that's the Boa man. You have Shegu Kadri of DG of Man. You have, I think I also saw my friend there, Dr. Tayo Duloju there, a friend of the show too, Patrick Okigbo, and all of that. They are there, 31 members. So what's your thoughts?
So for me, we're looking for administrative solutions to our challenges. If that committee is not talking about how Nigeria will have, between now and 2026, about 30,000 farms, forget it, we are joking. In a state, not even a state, a small district in Germany, you see 15,000 agro businesses. What are they doing? Hatchery, poultry, and they are producing birds, not just for Europe, even to Africa. Companion of fools shall be destroyed. It's not enough to be private sector. There are interested parties. So how many researchers are there? And are they willing to say the truth? Which number? Which data? The challenge I have is that which data is influencing our decisions? After all, they said data don't lie. But if we take our thinking, I may think in my mind that what I'm saying is good, but if the data says otherwise, it's important to humble ourselves and look at what the data is saying. Provided the data is not obsolete and the data source is correct, and we have tested the integrity of data. So for me, I am of the opinion that the committee is fine. We can have multiple committees, constitutional committee, non-constitutional committee, administrative committee, gubernatorial committee, presidential committee. It does not matter. What matters at the end of the day is if I earn minimum wage, will it be enough to put food on the table? If I earn above minimum wage, will it be enough to help me with quality of life and living standard?
So what are the, Okay, you said the committee is okay. So it's not a little too late because I asked two questions.
Is better
Late than never.
We all
Okay.
know that it is late. So, but now that it's late, what do? It's not even the committee that matters to me. It is the functional part.
Of what the committee will do.
What will they be doing?
Okay, so
What is the task?
Yes, expected outcomes from that committee.
President Jonathan set up a committee on flood. After that, we have seen several floods. President Buhari had similar committee.
Yes, exactly.
Some of the persons in this committee was in that committee.
Yes.
What happens to the economy? Unemployment went high, poverty rates went high, inflation went high.
Now,
So what will be different in this committee functionally? Are we saying that we want states to compete, competitive cost advantage? Are we saying that we want to start producing our own school uniform? So what are we saying? Is it the committee to just come and talk or to swing to action?
Now, you made something, you made a point, which is, if you take a look at even the economic councils or the economic advisory committees we've been having over the years, you see that some people that are in this one have also been there.
Exactly.
Over the years. Are you worried about the constitution of the people in the committee, this PECC? And I'm situating that around what we've seen in the past and what we're seeing now. That's one. Then secondly, are you also worried about, perhaps we do not have so many economists on the team? There's a Bismarck Rewani, I think, in this one, too, if I'm not mistaken, or is it the emergency task force? Because it's also a bit confusing. There's a Bismarck Rewani here. During Buhari, there was a Bismarck Rewani, there was Doyin Salami,
That is why
there
I
was
ask
economic advisor.
What has changed? I don't like to talk about people. I like to talk about what they are bringing to the table and the idea. So that it doesn't sound as though I'm criticizing my colleagues. But you see, people are prisoners of their past. What have we done before? What are we doing now? Because if we practice the same thing over and over, and we say that we want to achieve the same result, it's a sign of insanity. Most of the committee have been set up, irrespective of people there. But more so that what we are seeing, we are not seeing a difference. Are they bringing in new ideas? Maybe these persons now have new ideas they want to bring on board. But if the idea is still this, don't worry, devalue Naira, even if it's... Somebody had told me before on the show, and one of the persons you've mentioned, I don't want to mention the name, that then I think exchange rate was about 300 or 360. It just increased to about 420. And the person said, leave exchange rate to find this level. Let it get the value to 1,000. I laughed. I said, you are one of the problems of Nigeria. It's an economist. You are one of the problems of Nigeria. I said, do you know that our debt profile will also increase?
Balloon.
And you will make it from this economy. I said, do you know that what the money you claim you are sharing, it will not even be enough because some of the things you need to buy are also important. How much did we buy vehicles for senators 4 years ago? How much did we put in the budget now? Exchange rate. If you want to buy again, it will even be more. If you want to buy again, how much are we buying a bag of rice before? How much are we buying now? A corn roaster, how much is it selling corn by the roadside? How much is it now?
The last time I tried to buy corn, when they brought it to me, they said is it 150 or 200? Roasted corn, one.
It won't be less than 200 now. Now,
one
sachet water,
roasted corn.
how much is sachet water? Before, 5 naira, 10 naira. In our very presence, 20 naira, 25 naira, 30 naira. One sachet water. Why? You devalue. So if people who are macroeconomic theorists, without going to study, to understand that no matter how you promote these theories, there are exceptions, especially in developing countries. And you need to have data and push it out. Data, I'm not talking of distributed data to say that this is what inflation say, this one. What is influencing inflation? Bureau of Statistics told us these are the inflation. So can you now draw a model? What will you do? What will you stimulate? That we adjust the rest. And there are some of those things have been done. If you convert some of the places kidnappers are using as their den, and I said that loosely, this is what I mean. Most of the uncultivated areas in Nigeria, and you give it 1 year or 2 years, we are going to have harvest. But I don't expect President Tinubu alone to do that. We have other 37 chief executives at state and FCT. What is their contribution?
Okay.
Unplanted areas, houses that have not been used in Abuja, what are we doing with them? Can we at least grow corn? Can we find places like Zuba, Abaji in Abuja? Can we do that? and not limited to Abuja. Abuja Kaduna Expressway, right and left, what are we doing with it? Lagos Ibadan, what are we doing with it? Warri, Ugeli, what are we doing with it? Different parts of Nigeria. Go to Kano.
So do you think that now that the federal government is waking up from its slumber, since it's saying we're suspending food imports duty for 150 days, and we're going to partner states and the military to cultivate uncultivated land?
How do you implement if the state does not align? This is not the first time.
Then the issue of also that food imports, what do you think will be the impact? Because there are some people too that are producing
150.
rice, for example.
Yes.
People are producing rice
150 days. What does it take for us to import? Except we are reporting for our neighboring countries, and all of them are equally affected. All our neighboring countries are equally affected with food shortage. Is it FAO has already announced possible implication on us? Since last year, they told us we should expect what we're experiencing.
Exactly.
And it may extend to next year. So if we are acting as though we are shocked, I'm actually surprised. And in this policy, what is the expected outcome? To get to sufficiency? Because we have written a
Whether
policy
to bring
document.
inflation down temporarily.
Okay. Inflation will go up, actually. Why? It will put pressure on exchange rate.
Okay, Paul, just as we go, in just less than a minute, I know you've been alluding to a few solutions. Do you have other solutions, recommendations that can get our economy on track, whether in the short to mid-term,
Okay.
3 to 6 months?
For 3 months, I'm expecting an announcement from National Economic Council, headed by the Vice President, to announce that each state have identified several thousands of acres of land. And the states now are willing to partner with the 10 billion naira President Tinubu is releasing to farmers, organized farmers. Military, civil defense, police within the state will provide security. You have first sent a signal that we might be looking at possible food surplus, because our problem are supply-based, not demand-based. So we can import for 10 days, 150 days, and all those. But I can tell you the process of even bringing in, clearing, all the bottlenecks have not been done. So you are looking for short term, such that by this time next year, we will not be here.
Okay, so that's 3 months.
Okay, the next one will be on production, which will be relatively longer. But you cannot achieve that if this band A, band B, band C is a major bottleneck for production. So instead of us increasing our productive capacity, with this recent banning, we're actually going away from it. So it's a policy that is a policy somersault in a way.
Okay.
So how do we review that so that we can send positive signal to manufacturer? Number 3, how do we at least institutionalize? And I'm not saying get the whole process right overnight, but start with being deliberate in institutionalizing some of our processes so that it's not by one man. There are quite a number we can do, but most of them will go beyond 3 months or 6 months.
6 months.
It will go to a year or 2 years.
2 years.
Do I think we can make this country great? Yes. Do I believe we can? Yes.
It's just to get us out of our present quagmire, and if indeed deep economic thinking is going on in this administration. But thank you, Dr. Alaje, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, I've been speaking with Dr. Paul Alaje, who is the Chief Economist at SPM Professionals. Let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at another aspect, which is food, but now poultry, and what are the challenges, and is there really a solution out of that quagmire to where we can't afford chicken, we cannot even afford egg, let alone even the farmers affording feed? That will be after the break. Do join us again. All right, welcome back. It's time for our next segment, and we will be looking at the poultry industry in Nigeria. I have two gentlemen joining me. The president of the Poultry Association of Nigeria, Sunday Obiora, is joining us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Mr. Eze Obiora, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Nancy.
Yeah, I have the DG Poultry Association of Nigeria joining me here in the studio, Mr. Onalo Akpa. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, madam.
Now, I think I will start with the president. President, what exactly is happening to your sector? I've been following the sector closely now for a few years, and whatever I read about you people is that, oh, you are struggling, feed prices are going up. What is the current situation right now? Very briefly.
The current situation is poultry industry is threatened by high cost of raw material. So farmers can no more buy for the cost of feed. Reason is because of the high cost of maize and soybean, which constitute 70 to 75% of the material used to produce poultry feed. That's the cost.
Okay, how much is it being sold for now? How much do you buy feed now? Perhaps a bag, is it like 25 kg, or how do you measure it there? What is it?
It depends on the type of feed. Like broiler feed, the majority of the broiler feed now is above 20,000. The cost is because of the raw material. Maize as of January and soybean as of January was 300 and something thousand. As I'm talking to you now, landing maize are then with almost 900,000, and the soybean is about 800 or 850,000, and this constitutes 75% of the raw material.
How much were you buying it before? Now that it's costing 20K, how much was it before?
In January this year, it was between 300, 330,000. Now it's 900,000.
Okay.
300, doubled, 300% now.
Okay, so let me come to the DG. Do you have an idea of how many birds we have in Nigeria? Because FAO, Federal Food and Agriculture Organization, has told us we have 180 million birds, second highest in Africa. How many birds do we have in Nigeria, and how many poultry farmers do we have?
Well, let me start from the second question. From the statistics we have at our secretariat, we have around 8 million registered poultry farmers in this country.
8 million?
8 million registered
in your association?
In our
association? Are they all in your association?
They are, not all are in our associations, okay. But the farmers captured on our database is around 8 million poultry farmers. That is the small-scale poultry farmers, the medium-scale poultry farmers, and then the industrial large-scale poultry farmers.
So if I even do a small poultry in my house, I'm also counted? You
could be counted if you are captured on our database. Okay. But, you know, membership is voluntary. So we are not forcing you to be a member. But for captured data on our statistics, we have around 8 million poultry farmers in this country. Okay. And you were asking about the population of birds. We have around 75 million layers in this country and around 168 million broilers. While the number is this, you know, broilers on cycles of 38 to 40 days, you rear them, you slaughter them. So this is the number of poultry in terms of numbers we have in this country.
How much is 10 kg of chicken now?
Well, this is relative in the sense that if it is live, you know, it varies.
Yes, yes. I'm talking of frozen.
If it is dressed, yes, it also varies. We have small size, we have medium size, we have the bigger size. But on the average, people are selling around 4,500 per kilo.
Per kilo.
Now. And I will tell you this, just like my president said, what is responsible for this is the high cost of production. And the high cost of production is not limited to the cost of basic raw material of maize and soya. There are other factors that are also responsible. The fluctuation of the naira that has aggravated the exchange rate parity is also responsible for basic other materials that is used in poultry productions, like premixes, like inputs. You know, you have to import most of these things. They're import dependent and you have to import them. So that has already increased the cost of production. In addition to maize, whose prices has doubled or tripled in the last 3-4 months. So you can't variably, if you go to the market today, people will tell you a kilogram of chicken, dressed and frozen chicken is 4,500 per kilo. Tomorrow, next tomorrow, it might go to 4,700 because energy cost, most of the farms are classified as category A. Now, you discover that it takes a lot of people, the cost of energy is even more than any margin anybody can make.
So most of them are on band A, is that what you're saying? On band A?
Most of them are
on band A, isn't it?
Most of the farmers are on band A. And in most cases, even public electricity supply is not there. So most of these people runs on diesel. You run a generator. For you to hatch a bird today, consistently you have to run your generator for 21, 22, 25 days. So what it means is for you to buy a liter of diesel at 1,200, 1,500, depending on the location where you are, this increases absolute cost of so many things, and it is responsible for the high cost of production. And let me add this. Because of this high cost of production, we are having most of the inefficient small-scale and medium-scale farmers closing down.
Okay,
because they can't afford to feed these birds. And if you afford to feed these birds, you are losing money. So after first, second cycle, they are shutting down.
That's actually what I wanted to ask the president now, that how have your members been challenged? And do you have an idea of how many of your members, their businesses have been shut down? Then the second question is the government responding to your agitations, to your concerns? Have you in any way as an association met with the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security?
Have shut down. A lot, more than half have closed shop because of high cost of production, high cost of raw material and electricity is killing. So many people cannot afford to continue. So we are shutting down on monthly basis. Then your second question about government, yes, we have met severally with the Minister for Agriculture and Food Security. Several occasions we wrote to the president, and sometimes we get their response, but not too much comes from the government. On several occasions, even 3 or 4 months ago, we requested that they should allow us to import feed-grade maize so that we can augment what is coming from the farmers in Nigeria, but there was no response.
Okay.
Had it been they responded, then by now, some of our people might have imported maize for feed production. This could have been avoided. But I'm happy that based on the message released by Minister for Agriculture yesterday, coming from the president, that there will be importation of maize and other material and free duty. I believe if it is properly handled, it will reduce the pressure we are passing through now.
That is the federal government suspending taxes on maize, wheat, rice, and other commodities. So do you think it would reduce the pressure despite the administrative bottlenecks that we'll also see in terms of importation?
If it's properly handled, yes.
Okay.
But that is a kind of, this is a palliative, but it will not solve the problem we are facing.
Exactly, because it's just for 150 days.
We need to go to the fundamental. What is causing this problem? Which is insecurity. Our farmers cannot go to the farm now and to their farmland and farm and bring out those materials we need. So everybody, all the farmers are afraid. Most of them have been relocated. Most of them have stopped going to their farm. So importation is a kind of emergency measure, but it will not solve the problem.
Okay, DG, with what we've seen so far, what is the outlook for your sector? Because if many smallholder poultry farmers are already shutting down, like the president has said, you're a bit encouraged with what just happened, the announcement by the federal government in terms of suspension of duty on food products that would also impact your sector. What is your future outlook for it?
Well, to us who have spent all our life in this sector, it's alarming. It's alarming in the sense that right from October last year, we saw this scenario. And when we met this scenario, we wrote to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, and graciously he attended to us. And we told him, by March, April, May, we might run into crisis because the crop harvest that were expected in 2023 were not encouraging at all. And we told them at the level at which there was this price movement, considering the supply and demand friction, that there was going to be crisis. Allow us to import maize at free duty and free VAT. Oh, they promised us they were going to allow us to do that. But 9 months down the line, the situation has gotten aggravated to an extent over 40–50% of the poultry farms in this country are closing down. With a population of 210 or about 200 million persons, our protein intake is the lowest you can find in sub-Saharan Africa. If it is the lowest in sub-Saharan Africa, it should be the lowest in the whole world. While protein intake, especially poultry protein intakes, hovers between 23 to 43 kilograms per person per annum in other countries between 1963 and 2021. We are still below 5 kilograms per person per annum. Today, with the high cost of production and then the poverty staring on the face of Nigerians, a lot of people are running away from even taking all kinds of protein, even plant-based protein. So how do you come to animal-based protein? So this is invariably affecting the health of Nigerians. It is affecting the growth of Nigerians. It is affecting the stomach infrastructure, which is food security.
It will also affect our longevity.
It is also affecting our longevity. And I continue to tell people that poultry, people consider it, oh, you are in the private sector, it is your business. It is not our business. It has economic, political, and social dimensions that if it affects this country, and then we do not take anything serious about it. And that is why when I appeared on a program yesterday on channels, I said it. The government should declare a state of emergency directly on the poultry production in Nigeria because the situation is getting aggravated. There is the school feeding program that has been suspended for almost a year. I did a rough calculation. I just attended a meeting with them. I did a rough calculation. If 14 million children within the junior primary school are going to take 1 egg per week for 4 weeks in a month, then we need 1.9 million crates of eggs in 1 month. In 12 months, it will be around 22 million crates of egg. And today, we are unable to meet. Do we now go to import these eggs, table eggs, or any other thing for Nigerians?
I think we'll leave it at that for now. But, President, in just 15 seconds or so, do you have any other thing to say in terms of recommendations? Because we've got to go now.
My recommendation is let government set a meeting between the ministry and the poultry industry. Let us sit down and dissect what is the major problem we are facing and provide solution.
Okay. So thank you.
Serious crisis that need the attention. It's not something that we see on national newspaper or television. Government should invite us and be deliberate about the discussion.
Okay. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that because we've run out of time. Thank you very much for coming. Mr. Sunday Eziobiora is the President, Poultry Association of Nigeria, and Mr. Nalo Akpa, DG, Poultry Association of Nigeria. That's the show today. Thank you all for your company. As always, I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. Bye now. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Naji, a financial journalist, the anchor of Moneyline with Nancy on AIT. Today I'll be talking about smart savings tips for students.
Great Nigerian student. Very good.
So attention students, hold your ears so that you can say goodbye to financial struggles. Number 1, calculate your income. Know how much money is coming in so that you can set a realistic budget. Number 2, track your spending. Monitor monthly expenses to identify areas for potential savings. Number 3, set financial goals for yourself. Establish short and long-term goals to guide your budgeting efforts. Number 4, compare your income and expenses. Ensure that your income covers your essential needs, adjusting spending accordingly. Number 5, buy second-hand items if you can. And if I know you can, so save money by purchasing used items, especially books, that are expensive items for you while in school. Number 6, cook your meals. Cut cost by limiting dining out. Cooking at home is not only economical, but promotes self-care. I'll see you all in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy. Join us on our program on AIT too. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Naji, financial journalist. I'll be talking about common money mistakes to avoid. Number 1, ignoring financial challenges. Tough times, of course, bring discouragement, but don't let it lead you to overlooking financial issues. Make 2024 the year for financial organization. Address and understand your financial concerns. Seek advice from professionals to gain insight and clarity. Number 2, avoid over-concentration in investments. Don't put your investments in one basket. Placing all your financial resources in a single investment or sector poses risk of financial losses. Experts advise diversifying your portfolio across various assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, and more for better risk management. Number 3, neglecting an emergency fund. The lessons we learned in 2020 from the COVID-19 pandemic emphasize the necessity of an emergency fund. It serves as a crucial safety net for unexpected events like job loss or unforeseen medical expenses. Even starting with small contributions can lay the foundation for this essential financial cushion. Number 4, open communication about family finances. Discussing money matters within the family, especially between spouses, is very vital. Understanding each other's approach to money and responses to financial situations foster clarity. So if your husband is the prudent type that knows about investment, he can handle issues about money. If your wife is the same, she can handle issues about money. But joint discussions enable better family financial decisions, including involving grown children, establishing a clear understanding of the family's financial standing. I'll see you all again in the next video. I hope you've learned common money mistakes to avoid in 2024. I'll see you all again. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Hello everyone, I am Nancy Naji, the anchor of Moneyline with Nancy on AIT. Today I will be talking about January federal government savings bonds. The Debt Management Office has introduced 2 new savings bonds for subscription at 1,000 Naira per unit. These are the initial offers for 2024, with one being a 2-year bond set to mature on January 17, 2026 at an interest rate of 11.033% per annum. The other is a 3-year bond maturing on January 17, 2027 with an interest rate of 12.033% per annum. Both bonds are open for subscription. They've been opened from Monday, January 8th, and they will last till Friday, January 12th, with a settlement on January 17th and coupon payment on April 17th, July 17th, October 17th, and January 17th. Investors can subscribe starting from a minimum of 5,000 Naira and in multiples of 1,000 Naira thereafter, with a maximum subscription of 50 million Naira. Interest is paid quarterly and the principal amount is repaid in full upon maturity. These savings bonds, like other federal government securities, are supported by the full faith and credit of the federal government and secured against Nigeria's general assets. What are you waiting for? As little as 5,000 Naira, you can invest. Check out your licensed bank or your stockbroker. I'll see you in the next video.